Hey everyone, Brent Blaze here, back with another review for you. In today's video we're going to take a look at a rather intriguing DeFi project called Etherconnect, a project with quite an interesting history behind it as well. As always, if you're new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop with future videos released. And stick around to the end, my friend. I think you're going to find some value and some unique information in this video. I'm going to essentially think out loud, share my thought process of evaluation of the pros and cons and the factors that I take into consideration when doing my due diligence of whether or not I want to throw some money into a project like this. As always, only invest money that you can afford to lose, because at the end of the day, anything you hear in this video or any other video or anything you read is purely speculation. Anything can go up, anything could go down, anything could be here or gone tomorrow. So keep that in mind, my friend. So Etherconnect is quite an interesting history. You may have heard of BitConnect, which was absolutely massive until the SEC stepped in and shut down the party. It had a crazy run from 10 to 17 cents all the way up to $470 because there was some huge leaders and marketers behind it. This has a network marketing distribution model, multiple levels, multiple tiers of payout. And a lot of those names and faces have stepped into this too. And that's a double-edged sword, but one of the ways it may play to your advantage is if you do plan to put some money into this, you can get ahead of that momentum, you can get ahead of that huge influx of users, and we can see the community growing here. I'm going to show it to you, it's quite large. So that can potentially allow you to get in at a low price, get out at a high price, and get a return on your investment, as long as they don't do a rug pull or an exit scam and dump the token when it gets listed publicly, because keep in mind, people are locked in and vested. But BitConnect wasn't an exit scam, it's just that certain bodies, legal bodies, came in, shut it down. Now, if you're in Etherconnect, perhaps you can let me know in the comments below, but hopefully they're blocking IP addresses of US citizens from accessing the smart contract that will potentially stop the big boys coming after them. I know a lot of projects I'm involved in, they put that measure of safety in there. People can always use a VPN and still access it, but that's up to them. So here they say that the price is increasing daily from 10 cents to 30 cents as of right now. I'll show you the price chart here in a minute, but it's on the website. That's insulated from the open market. So it's not listed on DEX or decentralized exchanges or centralized exchanges at this time. Therefore, we're not necessarily looking at a realistic price, because people aren't able to sell, people aren't able to buy. It's not an open free market that's taking place. So high potential, very low supply. I believe it's about 140 million tokens of circulating supply that will eventually be released, which is a good thing to see, because people invest in things like Dogecoin, meme coins, without realizing that it's an inflationary token. The smart contract is spitting out and minting new tokens all the time, which means it's diluting the value of the tokens that you have. Whereas here, if there's ever only going to be a finite supply, that can potentially drive up the price over time. And there's some speaking the tokenomics, mention in the tokenomics that they're going to be burning tokens over time, burning some of the supply, which is a good thing. Law of supply and demand, it means the value of your own tokens are going to go up over time, potentially. So again, here we can see the price chart, but again, this isn't necessarily a reflection of what the real world is going to determine what its actual value is once people can buy and sell openly. So as you can see, very large community so far. I'll show you that over on Telegram, 118,000 members, which is quite impressive, to be honest. If they can hold to those numbers, again, as I said, if you can get in front of that momentum, it could play to your advantage. So we've got 100,000 active accounts, and here we can see the total amount of tokens sold, and again, the total supply is actually 114 million tokens, my apologies. So that's quite a decent supply. We're not looking at these tokens that spit out a quadrillion tokens and people buy 60 billion of them and think they're going to be a millionaire. It gives the illusion of owning a lot of tokens, but they're worth a fraction of a cent. So here we can see them sharing their certificate of incorporation, which is nice to see some transparency. Down here we have them mention Etherconnect is the only project which is implemented with DeFi, decentralized finance, yield farming, decentralized, to just repeat that word, and then swap exchange. That's more of a word salad of buzzwords, because that's simply not true. I mean, the DeFi world is much bigger than Etherconnect. You can go to DeFi Pulse, you can see an entire list of projects that are purely for lending, for insurance, for all types of things, for trading. So the world is big, the world of borrowing and lending and earning interest with yield farming and staking is not new. So there's nothing necessarily revolutionary or breakthrough about Etherconnect in their roadmap. You know, their goal is eventually to become a banking platform towards their end of the roadmap, and you'll actually see that in a lot of DeFi projects. Again, decentralized finance, moving monopolized monetary control from central bank and decentralizing it, and they all claim to eventually want to achieve that, you know. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that because it's strategically positioned at the end of the roadmap. Let's see if they get there where they've got lending, borrowing and everything behaving like an actual bank. Here we can see a timeline of the roadmap and the different phases. Depending on when you watch this video, we could be in a different phase. Here we see, based on how much of the coin you purchase, the amount of monthly staking rewards that you would earn from staking the token. And that can be a good thing too. When tokens are staked, it's going to kind of reduce the circulating supply on the open market, and if it becomes more difficult to buy the token, the demand's going to go up, the value's going to go up. One thing that appears to be absent at the time of recording this video, perhaps you can enlighten me, maybe it is available and share it to me in the comments, but a transparent audit of the actual smart contracts, because it's always possible to code in a back door, and we obviously don't want that. So for example, I mentioned DeFi Pulse, go to that list. Avi right here, which provides, you know, lending and borrowing. You can lend your assets to your crypto assets to people. You can also borrow crypto assets by putting your crypto up as collateral. But if you go to certic.org, here we can see some auditing. And for example, look at Avi there, right, with PancakeSwap and Binance. You know, it has a score of 87%, which checks security score and checks for things like backdoors in the smart contract. So that would be nice to see that transparency, and it obviously increase the amount of trust in the project. The other thing is there isn't a breakdown of the vesting period for the actual founders and the owners. You can see here, development team and technology partners own almost a quarter of the supply of the token. Now, I would like to see them mention that their vesting period and the length of time, period of time that their tokens are locked is actually longer than the community, because we don't want a scenario where everyone invests their money, the price increases, inflates, and then it gets listed on the exchanges and the owners dump the token and do a runner. We don't obviously want to see that, because that would crash the price and everyone would lose out there and essentially lose their money. So I mean, the project I'm currently involved in, the founders only own 8%, and they actually have to hit strategic benchmarks. They have to hit performance metrics in the business in order for their tokens to be unlocked, and theirs are vested 3 years longer than the actual community. If they don't meet those benchmarks, the smart contract will not release the tokens and will burn their tokens. So there's a huge incentive for the founders to actually continue to grow the project and grow it over time. So again, some transparency there would be nice, obviously, but quite a large community, 120,000 people. That could be a contributing factor to them being listed on Binance. So on their website here, they make a very bold claim that they'll be listing on Binance in this time frame you see right here, which is a very aggressive claim. If they achieve that in such an early stage token, I certainly would be impressed, and I would certainly probably revisit the Etherconnect project, because that's not easy to achieve. One of the metrics that Binance looks at before listing a token, obviously Tokenomics, obviously the auditing of their contracts, but it's also the size of their community. So for example, if you look at Cardano, which is actually number 5 in the world right now, you can see it's on nearly 1.2 million watch lists. But if we visit the smart contract, you can see how many people are actually holding the token. Look, 122,000 addresses, unique addresses are holding this token. So I mean, if they claim that there's currently 100,000 users of Etherconnect, so that can be a contributing factor in a positive way that may help them get listed on Binance. And some people just buy a new listing on Binance purely for the fact that that exposure can increase the price. So there is some potential there. Keep an eye on that, see if that event actually takes place. If it does, that is a green flag in my opinion. So based on the roadmap, it will be a multi-chain token. You'll be able to wrap your token and go from a BEP20 to an ERC20 token, utilizing the Binance Smart Chain, the Ethereum network, and plans as well for them to dock with Ethereum 2.0, which will be a proof of stake. So look, like anything, do your own due diligence, make your own decision. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility, and any money you do put in here, make sure it's something that you can afford to lose, like everything. And play safe, my friend. I hope you got some value, and I shared some unique insights that you may not hear in other videos, and you can factor those things into your decision as whether or not you want to get aligned with Etherconnect. I'm going to hold back for right now, but if you would like to see my #1 recommendation, the project I'm currently involved in, and leverage the due diligence that I do, and even meeting the owners with full transparency and auditing of contracts, and a long-term play that's sustainable, then you can visit wealthwithdefi.com and stay in the loop with what I'm involved in. You'll also get a subscription to our Wealth with DeFi newsletter, where I'll be sharing with you first movers, elite level access to private pre-sale tokens that's usually reserved for institutional investors. So it's key to get in at the ground floor to potentially maximize your upside, my friend. And these are projects that have been fully vetted out with their tokenomics, their finances, their legal structure, and outside revenue sources. Most projects, just their only metric for measuring profitability is the increase in value of their token. And there needs to be more than that, in my opinion, to be a long-term sustainable project. So plug in, you'll find the link at the top of the description. You'll also find a link to our Telegram channel. Plug in there. Hope to see you on the inside, and whatever you decide to do, wishing you great success.